Now at 9, we still have some freezing drizzle and light snow showers sticking around over the next few hours. I'll give you those details.
As temperatures remain low across the region, area shelters are seeing more folks in need while also dealing with less volunteers and less supplies. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the details.
A war breaking out overseas with the Russian military invading Ukraine. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington with a closer look coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. The winter storm may be on the way out, but roads can still be dangerous. Road crews in Missouri are working to keep drivers safe, but there are some important things to still keep in mind. The storm brought sleet and freezing rain, with temperatures remaining low. That ice hasn't been able to melt, and it might not be easy to see.
They're just trying to get off what they can, putting down, some abrasives to try to allow people to maintain some traction and trying to stay ahead of it. I think is what they were trying to do. They're ultimately out there chasing it, trying to get it to a dry condition.
Officials also recommend just taking it slowly and giving other drivers plenty of room. KDOT pre-treated the roads in Kansas with a salt mixture, and officials there say the roads in Kansas are back to normal for the most part. Even still, they warn there could be some slick spots, so always keep an eye out.
So they've been out treating and clearing, and mostly it's the granular salt and salt brine, and that helps get the ice all melted. And we do use some beet juice in some locations. And that works better, a little better at lower temperatures.
For more information on road conditions, just head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Chief Meteorologist Hetty joining us now. And that's the thing, refreezing tonight with those colder temperatures, huh?
Yeah, that, and we've had some light freezing drizzle or mist across the region over the past several hours. So that has made some additional slick spots on some of the roads that were clear and you can't see it, so be careful. And we still have some light little snow flurries which are going to rotate through over the next several hours, and then the clouds will start to break up and will look a little bit better. But you can see, I mean, these are very light, so freezing drizzle, light snow showers rotating through over the next few hours. And then once the clouds really break up, our temperatures are going to take a dip. Most of us are sitting 20 to about 23 degrees at this point in time, but once the clouds break up, I think we'll go into the single digits. We're going to look at that and into the weekend here in just a bit.
All right, Doug, with those cold temperatures we've been experiencing across the region, staying outside just isn't an option, right? We don't even want to think about it, but for those with nowhere else to go, it can seem like their only option. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with area shelters about continuing their services to those in need amid this weather.
Temperatures remain low across the region. While it's unpleasant for some, it can be life or death for those with nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I think a big piece of that is to understand during temperatures like this, yeah, it is unsafe.
Local shelters like Watered Gardens have seen their beds fill up the past few days due to the cold temps. Other shelters like Souls Harbor share the same observation.
We have been seeing a lot more people come in, so we've had a lot more company.
But it remains manageable. The issues come from ensuring they can accommodate everyone, especially with fewer volunteers.
It has been a little harder with the snow and the ice. Yeah, it takes the little brave at heart to be able to get them in here to do it. But yeah, it's been a little harder.
Well, sometimes the challenges really are just trying to accommodate everyone and make sure everyone's fed and warm and oftentimes during this time we might have a few less volunteers because the roads are slick and people can't get out, but that's understandable. But fortunately, I feel like we have a good setup pretty well to keep things moving no matter what.
Both shelters say they could always use more items like socks, gloves, and hats.
And everybody has a lot of needs right now. Hats, scarves, gloves really in particular. We're now out of those. We're down to about 8 or 10 coats now, so we're needing some coats as well.
And although capacity is a concern, both say they have ways to get shelter to anyone who needs it.
Now we have added on more hours for our warming station.
It does get crowded sometimes, but at night there's a couple more warming centers that open up around the community, and so that kind of helps spread out or give people options and spread out.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
For information on how to donate to area shelters, go ahead and visit our website. Again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Missouri lawmakers have passed a stopgap budget plan that again seeks to strip any public funding from Planned Parenthood while paying for Medicaid expansion and pumping money to schools. The budget plan is primarily needed to dole out roughly $1.7 billion in federal funding directly to schools before the end of the state fiscal year in June. But Republicans also added a provision aimed at blocking public funding for Planned Parenthood centers, including clinics that don't provide abortions. Pitt State today hosted a workshop designed to help scientists gain insights into problems faced by farmers that can be addressed through advances in plastics and polymers. It was led by K-State County Extension Service agents, as well as representatives from Virginia Tech and Arizona State. And while the focus was on plastics and polymers, current events crept into conversations, including how events in Ukraine could impact farmers right here in the 4 states.
Not directly. We're going to see a trickle-down effect with prices, input costs, and those things. But as of right now, we're not seeing it yet.
The workshop continues through tomorrow and is going to conclude with an event at Block 22. On to the crisis in Ukraine. The U.S. and its NATO allies are condemning the actions of Russian President Vladimir Putin after launching a full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. President Biden announcing another round of sanctions and is sending more troops to Germany to bolster NATO's defenses. Fox's Caroline Shively is in Washington with a closer look.
Russia's attack prompting a unified response from Western allies. NATO Secretary General calling it a brutal act of war that has shattered peace in Europe. Dramatic video capturing a powerful airstrike targeting a thermal power plant in Ukraine. Russian tanks and troops are taking over city streets. Some Ukrainians forced to find shelter inside a metro station.
None of it feels real. I don't even know how to relate to it.
Ukraine's government is reporting mounting casualties and losing ground, including the Chernobyl nuclear power plant.
According to our information, the enemy has listed me as target number 1 and my family as target number 2. They want to destroy the country politically, terminating the head of state.
President Biden met virtually with leaders of the G7 and announced more sanctions against Russia, but admitted it will take time for these measures to have an impact on Putin's decision-making.
This is a dangerous moment for all of Europe, for the freedom around the world. Putin has committed an assault on the very principles that uphold the global peace.
There's also growing concern over the impact the war will have on the U.S. economy in the weeks and months ahead.
I know this is hard and that Americans are already hurting. I will do everything in my power to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump.
NATO is also planning to hold a summit on Friday with 30 countries to map out the next steps of their response. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Fred Bowen served in the U.S. Navy during Vietnam. A native of Columbus, Kansas, Bowen earned several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Senior Chief Petty Officer Fred Bowen. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Hetty's next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later, the CJ Girls Bulldogs heading to the playoffs as the number 1 seed in the district. Going to hear from the team on trying for their 7th straight district championship in sports.
Well, it turned out to be another nasty day outside for us today. A little bit more sleet, some snow showers, a little bit of freezing drizzle throughout the evening hours. Still some light snow showers across the region for us now. It didn't tally up to a ton. We did see some areas in southwestern Missouri that picked up quite a bit of sleet with a really intense band earlier this morning, but most of us, not much. 1/4 inch in Joplin puts us at 14.25 of sleet and snow. For the season, average is 12, forecast 13. Last year, we had just shy of 20 inches. This is actually indigo sky, but you can see that freezing drizzle. The point of this is a little layer of ice out there, so even if the roads are clear, you may still be dealing with that. So be very careful if you are going to be out during the overnight hours for us tonight. But you can see the bands that rotated through earlier today, pretty intense bands, really developed 5, 6 a.m., especially that band with all the thunder sleet earlier today. And then since then, we've had light snow showers, freezing drizzle, and you can see a few little pockets of light snow showers, which are trying to rotate through a little bit heavier in northeastern parts of Oklahoma and then kind of scattered about across the region. This is going to last over the next couple hours, and then we'll start to clear out. Good news here is because the air mass aloft is colder now. We're seeing light snow showers instead of freezing drizzle, which is starting to taper off, which is great. All right, temps today, we really didn't go anywhere. We only went into lower 20s, and of course now we're starting to drop back anywhere from teens, Yates Center to Iola, to lower 20s in our southern counties, but most of us will drop back to about 7 to 10 degrees later on tonight. A little bit of a wind makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is, but at least this storm system is wrapping up the back bands of light snow showers, and if we go out toward the west, a weak little wave out across parts of Montana, that will mainly slide south of us by the time we head into the weekend, but still something we want to watch. Finally, we get rid of the clouds late tonight, but we drop to about 8 to 10 degrees. Partly sunny skies for us tomorrow. We are going to get some clouds in here during the afternoon. 25 by noon, high temp at 30. North winds at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, cold, mid-teens. And then as we head into Saturday, still a lot of clouds. We'll make it near 40. But you can see a few showers and snow showers just to our south. We'll watch that system, but it looks like it will stay just south of the region by the time we head into the weekend. Overall, we're pretty calm. As we go through the next week, we're going to warm back into the 60s, so we're going by Wednesday, Thursday. Next bigger system moves in late Friday, next Friday, 8 days away. That's the next system that will give us showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. 30 tomorrow, 40 Saturday, 50 on Sunday, 58 by Monday, so at least our temperatures start to climb.
Seems like a kid playing with a thermostat. Seems like a kid playing with a thermostat, you know, just standing there, throwing it all the way up and then all the way down. Roller coaster.
Yeah, I can tell you're old because you're doing this.
Yeah.
Compared to hitting that.
It's true. So. Yeah. Doug, Hetty, thank you so much. Coming up, the U.S. trucker convoy.
COVID mandate trucker convoy on the move and headed to the nation's capital. I'm Ashley Soriano in Kingman, Arizona, with more on their fight coming up.
The service getting ready to receive new vehicles as soon as next year. The service announcing it's cleared its last regulatory hurdle to put in orders for a new generation of mail vehicles. Now, just 10% of these new vehicles are going to be electric powered. Thousands of vehicles currently being used went into service between 1987 and 1994. Reports say it would cost an additional $3.3 billion for the Postal Service to convert their entire fleet to electric vehicles. That funding would come from President Biden's Build Back Better plan, but that is still stalled in Congress. Convoy of truckers demanding an end to coronavirus mandates head into D.C., some making the cross-country drive from as far away as California. This is the nation's average daily COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations continue to fall, and more mandates are being loosened or lifted. Fox News multimedia reporter Ashley Soriano has these details.
Trucks around the country on the move, making their way to Washington, D.C. ahead of next week's State of the Union.
To the truck drivers around the world, now is your time to stand up. Now is your time to usher in a renaissance time of freedom.
The streets in one Southern California city filled with hundreds of supporters as dozens of convoy truckers set out Wednesday.
We are ready to roll on to D.C.
Just one of several similar convoys organized around the country, all with different starting points, departure dates, and routes. Modeled after Canada's Freedom Convoy, folks who are a part of America's People's Convoy mainly demanding the end of a national COVID-19 emergency and pandemic-related mandates. Other issues being raised, fuel prices and immigration. The truckers getting the support of fellow Americans as they hit the highways, others disagreeing with the message.
My community, the black community, has really been impacted by COVID. So I'm a proponent of making the mandates. We've got to get a control of it.
The parade of 18-wheelers, pickup trucks, and other vehicles aiming to arrive in our nation's capital next week. Law enforcement officials in D.C. saying they're aware of the plan and will be ready, especially after the January 6th riot. The Pentagon approved the deployment of 700 unarmed National Guard troops to prepare for the truckers' arrival and their anticipated protests. In Kingman, Arizona, Ashley Soriano, Fox News.
Still ahead, claims of new attacks against the brain using sound waves against American officials in their own homes. New reports of American officials experiencing attacks in their own homes, similar to those reported by diplomats in several foreign locations. Fox News senior national correspondent Rich Edson looks at the latest incidents of what's being called the Havana Syndrome.
It was sort of a chirping, somewhere between what you would think is a cricket or sort of a digital sound.
Former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff Miles Taylor says he's among the hundreds of U.S. officials who say they've been attacked with a mysterious acoustic microwave weapon.
This is probably 3:30 in the morning, and I see a white van, and the van's brake lights turned on, and it pulled off, and it sped away.
Taylor told CBS's 60 Minutes this happened in his Washington, D.C. apartment. Olivia Troy, Vice President Mike Pence's Homeland Security advisor, says she experienced this twice in and around the White House grounds.
They've experienced serious physical consequences, including persistent headaches and hearing loss.
The government says these incidents began in 2016 with U.S. and Canadian officials in Havana. In 2018, reports from more U.S. government personnel in China, across Asia, and then in South America and Europe. In January, the CIA released a report claiming it was unlikely a foreign adversary is behind the bulk of these attacks and that medical conditions or stress were factors in many cases. Weeks later, the directors of national intelligence and CIA released a report acknowledging, quote, the signs and symptoms are genuine and compelling, and a subset cannot be easily explained by known environmental or medical conditions.
I do believe the U.S. government knows a lot more than it's revealing, and there are a few countries, Russia, China, Iran, that no doubt have the technology.
The National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine found the attacks are most likely from pulsed radio frequency energy. That includes microwaves. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Up next, going to find out what makes this doghouse so special and why it's sold for $44,000 at auction. All right, so a doghouse that was struck by a meteorite fragment has been sold for $44,000. Christie's auction says the flying object landed in Costa Rica back in April of 2019. It narrowly missed German Shepherd Rocky, who was living inside that doghouse. Rocky. The item sold for much less than the $300,000 it was expected to fetch. The meteorite that hit Rocky's former home was also included in the auction. That meteorite sold for $21,000. Now, I can't help but think, poor Rocky, he's probably thinking to himself, I survived this meteorite event, near disaster, and now you're going to get rid of my house. Thanks so much, humans. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Become available even as doctors and nurses report a growing sense of vaccine fatigue. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
Plus, officials sounding the alarm after more cases of the bird flu. Across the country, vaccine hesitancy turning into vaccine fatigue as health officials make a big push to get shots in arms. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
The people that I've seen in the ICU are either immunocompromised or unvaccinated.
It's becoming a familiar complaint among healthcare providers. Vaccinations are ticking down across the board as COVID cases decline and the Omicron surge comes to an end. Right now, about 73% of teenagers and adults are fully vaccinated. That's up less than 1% in the past month as the end of this most recent surge combines with vaccine fatigue, creating a situation that's not only frustrating doctors but could become a serious public health issue.
We thought that by the middle of 2021, everyone would be vaccinated. So we did not at all anticipate the degree to which people were resistant to being vaccinated.
But Americans could soon have another vaccine option available to them. European drug makers Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline working together with funding from Operation Warp Speed to create a new vaccine, which is reportedly 75% effective against moderate infection and 100% effective against severe disease and hospitalization. We're also getting closer to shots for kids ages 6 months to 5 years. Pfizer reportedly getting ready to submit new data after first asking the FDA for emergency authorization and then withdrawing that request.
The 2-dose regimen may not have worked as well as expected against the Omicron variant, and the total number of COVID cases is so low in the study, the results were difficult to interpret.
Pfizer says it expects to submit data from its clinical trial sometime in April. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Target decided to drop its in-store mask requirements for employees and customers. The department store made the announcement on its website in a coronavirus response section. Target says the company will continue to follow all state and local safety regulations, including increased safety and disinfecting measures in stores. Target also advises customers to consult local public health guidance and really generally encourages vaccinations. Officials are raising the alarm after several reports of bird flu have been detected in several states nationwide. Now, at this time, officials say Americans should not be extremely concerned, but CDC officials say they're keeping a close eye on the cases moving forward. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has more on the story from New York.
Health officials are keeping a close watch after several cases of avian flu, also known as bird flu, were detected in at least 9 states. One of those states, Florida, where the first case of the virus was detected last month in a duck in Palm Beach County. Since then, dozens of vultures and waterfowl have become sick or died. Animal officials in the state say they are keeping a close eye on the situation.
We're just trying to have an abundance of caution and making sure that we have all of our protocols in place just to be on the cautious side.
Cases of bird flu have also been reported in New York, Maine, and Michigan. If the flu spreads too quickly and enough birds become infected, economists are fearful it could lead to an increase in the price of chicken, turkey, and eggs at the supermarket.
This is kind of a wake-up call for us at this point. Let's just monitor it, let's see where we're at, and do what we need to keep our backyard flocks safe.
To protect their flocks, some are placing their farms under quarantine. But while the CDC says bird flu is not an immediate threat to public health, in a worst-case scenario, birds would have to be depopulated to prevent the spread of disease.
They should make sure that this doesn't spread. They should spread the word on education, isolate this flock that has it, and make sure it doesn't happen.
The last major outbreak of bird flu in the U.S. was in 2015, killing 50 million birds in farms across 15 states. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
A bit later, solving staffing issues in healthcare.
The healthcare industry is still reeling from the COVID pandemic with major staffing shortages across the country, but digitizing some of those jobs could help solve the problem. I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. I'll have the details coming up.
Well, again, we've had a couple nasty days with the wintry weather that rolled in Wednesday night, and then again about last night into the morning hours, about 1/4 inch of sleet in Joplin. Some areas got about an inch in extreme southwestern Missouri, where you got into that band of very intense thunder snow from Grand Lake all the way up through Newton County, McDonald County. 14.25 inches sleet and snow for the year. Average is about 12 around here, but we have had some freezing drizzle. So this is our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Tower cam, but this was pretty clear a few hours ago. So there are some slick spots on the roads, even the roads that had been plowed and may look clear, that may not be so clear. All right, here goes the band of sleet and snow that we had earlier today. Then freezing drizzle kind of set in. We've had some snow flurries kind of flying. We have this back little batch, which is trying to work through. Thankfully, it looks like most of the freezing drizzle has come to an end, but we are getting some snow flurries and a few snow showers out there, which you want to watch out for as well. All right, temps, lower 20s, 4 highs today. We've dropped back a little bit. The clouds trying to keep that heat in, or whatever heat we do have, anywhere from 17 in Yates Center to about 23 in Anderson. But once the clouds break, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's when the temperature will really drop. Northwesterly winds 5 to 15, so this does give us a wind chill factor. It makes it feel about 5 to 10 degrees right now, even though our temperatures are holding near 20 degrees. So this system working out of here, weak little wave behind it, which will slide just to our south by the time we head into the weekend. Besides that, not a whole bunch going on over about the next week or so, which is good. We need a little bit of a break. Down to about 7 to 10 degrees tonight. Actual temperature. Partly cloudy skies for us tomorrow. At least we warm up, so we do some serious melting, plus we get some sun. 25 by noon. High right around 30 degrees. All right, tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies once again as temperatures drop back into the mid-teens. And then as we go into Saturday, Temps near 40. But you can see just to our south, we do get some showers. I think they'll stay just south of the region, but something we want to keep our eyes on as we go into Saturday. Besides that, not too much going on. Near 50 on Sunday, near 60 on Monday, near 60 Tuesday into Wednesday. We don't even get a big storm system in here until Friday. That's when we're going to start to get chances for showers and thunderstorms back in the forecast. All right, 30 for us tomorrow, 40 Saturday, 50 on Sunday. Temperatures, though, pretty good as we head into next week, and at least things calm down for a little bit.
Yeah, melt everything away.
Yeah, it'll be, well, sleet is hard to melt because it's
Yeah.
little ice pellets,
Yeah.
so it takes a little bit longer than snow, but yeah, we'll get rid of it.
Good. Slowly but surely. Doug, Hetty, thank you so much. The National Education Association says hundreds of thousands of teachers left the workforce during this pandemic. Some teachers saying they're just exhausted, as many U.S. schools are dealing with COVID-related challenges. Fox News multimedia reporter Austin Westfall is in Charlotte, North Carolina, where one organization wants to help teachers by focusing on their mental health.
Being a teacher has never been easy, but many teachers will tell you that the pandemic has made their job more stressful. And they say that taking care of their children is much more difficult if they don't first take care of themselves.
I had to recently go seek counseling because I'm like, I'm not okay.
Tonya Tolson teaches 12th grade English at Mountain Island Charter School in Mount Holly, North Carolina. She says in her 2 decades of teaching, the job has been rewarding, but demanding.
We're always the ones giving, and we give. So nobody ever looks at how we're actually giving from an empty cup.
Lesson planning and grading papers require long hours, and keeping remote students on track during the pandemic was especially tough.
A lot of teachers are leaving the profession because it's really mentally not great for us.
According to the National Education Association, there are nearly 390,000 fewer educators in America's public schools than there were before the pandemic. On top of that, 55% of educators say they're ready to leave the profession earlier than planned. Darnita Samuels is a therapist who regularly works with teachers. She says some feel overwhelmed, but don't quite know why.
So what they're saying is, I'm stressed out. My anxiety is going up, things like that. And so when we start asking questions, there is burnout, but then there's also some slight depression as well.
Samuels works with an organization called the Teacher's Resource, which connects teachers with self-care help.
Healthy person, healthy teacher equals healthy students.
We are so excited. Help me again welcome Dr. Jaleesa as she talks to us about preventing burnout.
The organization's founder, Sonia Battle, does Facebook Live and group Zoom sessions with licensed therapists like Samuels.
Sometimes I open it up to ask, like, okay, is anyone on here who would like to share exactly what they're dealing with, so we can help them get coping skills.
Since 2020, Battle has connected with roughly 1,000 teachers, including Tolson.
You can say you're enough all day, but when you don't feel like you're enough, then you're not enough.
Group therapy is helpful, but Samuel says that one-on-one therapy is most helpful for teachers that are trying to get help for their specific situations. In order to find resources near you, you can go to theteachersresource.org and click on Contact Us. In Charlotte, Austin Westfall, Fox News.
Coming up in sports, the Columbus girls wrestling team finishing 3rd in the state. Gonna have those details. Plus, the Missouri Southern women aiming for their 14th straight win at Washburn. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Missouri Southern Lions are just 3 days and 2 games away from finishing up the regular season. And both games are on the road, beginning tonight with a trip to Topeka to face Washburn. Now, on the women's side, Southern enters the night on a 13-game winning streak. And midway through the 4th, Amaya Johns, a little step back from mid-range. Lions go up 7. Now, the lead is just 5 here with 10 seconds to go. Abby Oliver drives and scores. That makes it a 1-possession game. Washburn forced to foul. Haley Grant, though, will knock down both free throws on the other end to seal the deal. Lacey Stokes leads the way with 25 points on the night, along with 6 rebounds. Maddie Stokes goes for 8 and 7. It's 14 straight. Missouri Southern takes this one in Topeka 55-50. To the men now, Southern trying to split the season series with the Ichabods after falling by 10 in Joplin in January. Avery Taggart scores a game-high 26 for Southern. Washburn pulls away to win it 81-69. Well, the regular season is over for Missouri high school basketball with district tournaments beginning this week. And the Carl Junction girls are the top seed in the Class 5 District 6 tournament. Danny Terzer has more on how the Bulldogs are looking to continue their postseason dominance.
6 straight district titles and hungry for more. The Carl Junction girls are aiming to build on their dominant postseason history.
I'm sure teams are wanting to end our tradition of winning districts. I think it definitely puts a target on us.
We've had a target on our back for a while, and it's a piece that you kind of we've grown accustomed to. We like that, I guess. It means we're successful right now, and we try to be humble with it, though.
The Bulldogs finished the year with another great regular season record, 20-7. They've earned the #1 seed in the district tournament, and now it's time to make that count.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're really hoping to do some big things in the postseason. We're hoping to just keep building upon what we did during the regular season.
Teams like Nixa, Ozark, places like that, they really have pushed us to work harder and show us what a really good team is. And us playing them, we really know what we're up against whenever we start going against these really hard teams.
We can score in multiple ways, and we have 2 or 3 really good scores. We have been rebounding really well right now. That's a piece that I think other teams are going to look at and think, hey, we need to get them off the boards. A lot of that's due to Kylie Scott and Anna Birch have done a tremendous job.
The postseason is full of pressure, but the Bulldogs have experience.
You can't say enough about experience. Our kids being able to be in the postseason and being in what we call possession basketball a lot of times at the end of the year has really benefited our team, and they understand that when the crowd gets loud or the situation feels like it could be unbearable, they're able to relax and take a deep breath and know that, hey, we're prepared. We can do this.
In Carl Junction, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Carl Junction opens the district playoffs on Saturday against Hillcrest. That game is scheduled for 10 a.m. at Willard High School. Well, today's the final day of the Kansas Girls High School Wrestling State Championships. The Columbus Titans finished 3rd as a team today, with Addie Saporito leading the way. Saporito took 3rd place today in the 109-pound bracket. It's the 2nd straight year she's finished 3rd at state. Brooklyn Lima placed 4th at 138 pounds. Jalen Rodriguez placed 6th at 143. Now, in all, we had 11 local girls place at state. These 7 here in the top 5. You can check out a full list of state placers and our full story with the Columbus girls on the sports page at KOAMNewsNow.com. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Workers were already in short supply 2 years ago, and this pandemic has only exacerbated the whole issue with severe staffing shortages reported nationwide. In this edition of Fox on Tech, Christina Coleman looks at new technologies that are helping to solve these problems.
It's no secret, healthcare workers are burned out after 2 years of the COVID pandemic. Now, providers are turning to technology to help with everything from filling shifts to automating paperwork, hoping to transform the industry by digitizing services.
The number of administrative tasks that take up our time has just skyrocketed. These days, physicians are the highest paid data collectors in the world.
Notable is a software developer specializing in what it calls intelligent automation technology. It's helping to cut hundreds of hours of administrative work by digitizing workflows like patient scheduling, electronic medical records, and even billing. Using software robots for all that clerical work, which gives doctors more time to spend on patient care.
We believe much of that administrative repetitive work can be done through automation. So this may be, collecting a outstanding balance from a patient. It could be reminding a patient when they're due for a particular type of care.
And it's already working. Notable says it's received reports of increased patient volume and a significant reduction in medical claim denials, all while reducing the burden on healthcare providers. Meanwhile, Connecticut-based Semaphore is using artificial intelligence to process hundreds of billions of megabytes of data from genome tests and medical records. That's roughly equivalent to data from 20 million patients. And another company, IntelliCare, is focusing on the nationwide nursing shortage, using a digital platform matching some 30,000 nurses with healthcare facilities in need, making sure providers can fill shifts while also empowering nurses to be in full control of their own schedule. The Labor Department says there are more than 190,000 nursing jobs available nationwide. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Gonna check out what's new to those theaters and at-home streaming options when we come back. From a rock and roll horror comedy to a classic back on the big screen, we have a look at this week's new releases. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
The sound of this house is the sound of album 10.
New in theaters, Supernatural meets Superstars in Studio 666, a haunted house flick courtesy of Foo Fighters, centered around a scary rockin' good time recording their 10th album.
Where are you? Help, he's here.
In theaters and video on demand, there's the thriller The Desperate Hour with Naomi Watts, playing a recently widowed mother racing to save her son from an active shooter situation. In theaters, video on demand, and digital is action-packed Gasoline Alley, featuring Bruce Willis and Luke Wilson in the story of an ex-con trying to prove his innocence from a triple murder. On streaming, Hulu has No Exit, about a woman stranded in a blizzard with strangers, where she finds an abducted girl leading her on a search to find the kidnapper.
I love my mom.
Tubi adds the ripped from the headlines true crime story, Romeo and Juliet Killers.
Hallelujah!
Netflix brings back Medea in Tyler Perry's A Medea Homecoming, set at her great-grandson's college graduation.
My father's no different than any other powerful man.
Back on the big screen, Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather marks its 50th anniversary with a limited release in theaters, before its 4K Ultra HD release March 22nd.
It's the biggest treasure that's never been found.
And audiences can still check out Tom Holland's latest action-adventure. Holland and Mark Wahlberg's Uncharted currently holds the #1 spot at the box office. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Hey, it's nothing personal, just business. We got to end the show right now. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Gonna leave you with video of Pierre David deer at the Bronx Zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.